Hello and welcome. Today we will look at our Exact Path program and how you can help your staff in your organization get started. I'm Katie Janis and I'm a Customer Success Manager here at Edmentum. Our agenda today: Exact Path overview, purpose and why, understanding the learning path, getting students started, teacher experience, and location of support resources. Exact Path is a K-12 individualized program that is highly focused on understanding where your students are academically. Students will begin by taking a diagnostic assessment. After they complete their assessment, they will receive a targeted learning path based on how they performed on the diagnostic assessment. As students begin working through their individual path, you will have lots of tools available as an educator to help them along the way. There also will be reports, so you're able to view how students are performing within their learning path. Let's look at a student's K-12 academic journey in the following visual. Each student is in a road of sorts. That road begins at kindergarten and can go on through adulthood. Let's say, for example, we have a fifth grade student. Our fifth grader took the diagnostic assessment, but when they took it, they showed that they had some gaps back in third grade and fourth grade. The student's learning path will begin at that lowest entry point, so maybe a skill back in third grade. As the students work through this gap and master that particular skill, they will move on to their next gap. Because of this, you may see students working below their current grade level or above their current grade level. Exact Path is a research-based program. Our research recommends that students spend a minimum of 40 to 60 minutes per week per subject working in their learning path. Students will begin the program by taking a diagnostic assessment. Students will receive a question at the beginning of this assessment based on the grade level that they are currently enrolled in the system. As students work through their diagnostic assessment and answer questions incorrectly or correctly, the questions will become more difficult or easier depending on how the students are performing. If you are working with adult learners that are performing below their grade level, you may consider enrolling all of the students at a lower level. For example, we may recommend enrolling them at the sixth grade level, and all of them will receive questions at the beginning of their diagnostic assessment at a sixth grade level. You can also adjust these settings for individual students as needed, and we'll look at that when we are in the platform in just a moment. After students complete their diagnostic assessment, they will receive a scale score. The scale score is based on the number of questions that students answered correctly and also the difficulty of the questions they received. After students complete their diagnostic assessment, they will receive a learning path. For every skill a student receives, there may be up to 3 components within their learning path. The first component is a lesson. This is a tutorial that introduces and models a new skill. Following the lesson, students may receive an opportunity to practice their skills. This is a scaffolded opportunity to practice, and students receive immediate feedback and encouragement as they work through the practice. Following the practice, students may be asked to take a quiz. This is a short 5-question quiz that assesses one skill at a time. Currently, students may receive up to 4 skills worked through at a time. However, we do have a new update to update the learning path, and students will only work on 1 skill at a time to simplify their learning path experience. As soon as this feature is released, you will receive information on how this will update the learning path for your students. Mastery is determined through a progress check. After every set of up to 4 skills, progress checks assess mastery and adapt the student's learning path. On the progress check, students will be assessed on all of the skills they currently have worked through within their learning path. If students do not master any of the skills on their progress check, they have an opportunity to receive a building block, which is an additional lesson to remediate if needed. So let's unpack the learning path further. As of now, students can receive up to 4 skills. Within those skills, they can receive up to 3 components: a lesson, a practice, and a quiz. As students work through those 4 skills, they will then unlock the progress check. The progress check contains 5 questions for each skill. Students must score equal to or greater than 80% on their progress check within those individual skills to show they have mastered their skills. On the system, they will receive trophies once they have mastered the skills, and then they will be assigned new skills within their learning path. If a student does not pass a skill within the learning path, which means they scored less than 80% on the progress check, they will receive either a building block lesson, which is focused on a prerequisite skill to remediate, or depending on what's available, they may retake this original skill with an alternative lesson. If they receive a building block and they score greater than 80%, this student will be able to move back to their original skill. What happens if a student is not successful on their first building block? Students have a couple opportunities in the system. So they will receive a second building block focused on a prerequisite skill to remediate, or may also receive an alternative lesson to retake that skill. If they receive a second building block and the student is successful, again, they will move back to the original building block. We want students to feel successful in the system and ensure that they are always moving forward. If students receive 2 building blocks or have 2 attempts at a skill mastery, and they still do not master that skill, you will see this symbol on your platform and will be notified that the student did not pass the skill. The student will then receive a new skill to work on to help them feel successful in the system. This will alert you that you may need to go back and gather additional resources to reinforce this skill and reteach with students. Let's take a look at the student experience. Our platform is built for K through adult learners. We have 3 different platforms depending on student age or ability levels. Our K2 platform is a very simplified platform to allow students to easily navigate within the system. We also have a 3-5 platform. Like the K2 platform, these lessons will have an animated style. Then we have our grade 6 through adult, which is a mature user interface that may appeal to older learners. However, some adult learners may prefer to learn in the cartoon format. ExactPath allows you to choose which format your students will be working in, no matter their ability levels or age. Let's take a look at a student platform. Here we are in a 6th through 12th grade platform. As we scroll down, we'll jump into one of our learning paths. Here we are in a tutorial for solving real-world problems. As you can see in the older student platform, students can toggle back and forth to click through the tutorial. They may have some videos to watch and text to interact with. Over here, students have some tools to help them as they work through their learning path. Students have the table of contents so that they can see where they're going next, a place to take notes. Some of our core content in our older lessons have some guided notes available that allow students to fill in the blanks as they work through the tutorial. We also have a dictionary to copy and paste words, a read aloud tool if students have reading accommodations, a translation tool that allows students to copy and paste and translate the text into several different languages, a calculator, a graphing tool, and a highlighter. Once students are done working through the tutorial, or if they need to pause, they'll save and exit. Now we're in a lesson in the animated style. As you can see, this is quite a bit different than that 6th through 12th or adult style.
Thank you for bringing us to the conservatory today, Granny. I heard the guide say that they're releasing 236 butterflies.
She also said they released 352 butterflies last week.
Wow, that's even more than today's number. How did you figure that out so fast, Den?
So as you can see, students receive their lesson in more of a cartoon style, has explicit teaching and modeling of the skill. Now that we've looked at the student platform, let's dive into the teacher experience. Here we are in a teacher platform. To get started, you'll first need to create your class. I'm in the My Classes tab on my black toolbar, and I will click into Manage Classes on the white toolbar. Here's where you can create a class. Click Create a Class. Give it a class name. Select yourself as an instructor. You may also add additional instructors that need to view the students in your class. You can select your school location, your grade, this section is optional, and then you can search your students, or you can select a location or grade level to filter for your students. Once you find your students, you'll click the plus sign, add them to your class. From here, you can save your classroom. If you need to go back and edit your classroom, you can click into it to add or remove more students as needed. Let's take a look at the student settings that are available. Here, I've enrolled 2 students into the system. Here, you're able to adjust the content style if you have students enrolled in 6th through 12th grade. If you want them to start at that older student platform, again, but you want them to take the diagnostic at a lower level, you could enroll all of your students as 6th graders and they will receive that 6th through 12th grade style platform that we looked at a few minutes ago. However, if they're working in that platform and they do not prefer it, you can also adjust that content style here by clicking the box for your students. This will change it from that mature style platform to the animated style that we preferred, that we previewed. Students will still receive the skill that they needed. It will just be in a different format. We also have some accommodations in our diagnostic tab. Here, you can adjust the starting grade level on your diagnostic. So we can start them at a different grade level. Let's take a look at one of our older classes. Here you're able to adjust, have them start their diagnostic at a different level. So if you still want to enroll them in the highest level, you could still have them start at a 6th grade level on their diagnostic assessment. You're also able to turn on text-to-speech for individual students as needed. Make sure you save your changes after you've selected those accommodations. If your organization has auto-scheduled the diagnostic, as soon as students log in, it will be able to start the diagnostic assessment. If they are not auto-scheduled, you as a staff member will need to schedule it for the student to take the diagnostic. In order to schedule a diagnostic assessment, we'll come over and click on the subject that you want them to test in. We'll start with math and select diagnostic scheduling. Select your class. And here we can see these students are already scheduled since we had an auto scheduled. However, if they're not scheduled, they will show up here. You will select the boxes and you will click schedule to allow your students to begin testing. Once students complete their diagnostic assessment, they will receive their learning path. There's 2 ways for you to view the learning path. First way is our knowledge map. This is great to view a full inventory of all of your students. You're able to see where they've started on their learning path, and as they continue and receive new skills, you'll be able to see what they're currently practicing. We also have our current activities map. This shows you exactly what students are currently practicing. You're also able to do a deep dive to review practice and quizzes and find resources to provide intervention and support for students. Let's take a look at what this looks like live in our platform. To view our knowledge map, we'll click into a subject. From here, I can click Knowledge Map. Let's look at one of my older classes. Here you can see where students assessed above, if they've failed once and have that building block, skills they've mastered, what they're currently practicing, if they're retaking anything with an alternative lesson, if they're struggling with a skill, and if they have failed a skill twice. As we can scroll over, you can see where those students started and where they currently are on their learning path. You're also able to sort the knowledge map by certain domains. If you want to check out a certain category, you're able to filter, and that will shrink the map for just that domain. If you're curious about the skills your students are working through, we also have a K-12 learning progression report available. It shows all of the skills K through 12 students can work through. Let's hop over to our current activities map. Again, this shows you 4 skills students are currently assigned. You can see what they're practicing, what they completed, and what they've struggled with. Our trophy over here shows that they mastered 3 skills on their last progress check, and that they failed one of the skills. You can actually click into any of these skills, and this will show you exactly what the student is assigned. You can hover over and review their practice and their quiz and go back over that with your students. You can also preview it if you would like to complete the activity with your students. You also have resources available. Here we have videos that you can use for teaching, worksheets that you can print out for students, and lesson ideas to help reteach the lesson. So if my student fails an activity twice, or maybe they're struggling, you could go through and complete this mini lesson with the student to help reinforce the skill. If a student is struggling with the skills they are assigned on their learning path, you can edit a student's path. Let's click into our student's name. And from here, we'll click Skills. Then we'll click Edit Learning Path Placement. As I scroll down, I can edit the grade level and where I want my students to start within their learning path. After you select changes, make sure you save those skill placement changes for your students. If you would like to view how your students are performing and how much time they're spending on their learning path, we do have some reports in our Reports tab, Skills Reports, and Learning Path Progress. Here you would fill out different fields. We'll preview this so you can view the report. This will show you your students' names, the amount of time they've spent on their learning path and progress checks, activities completed, skills attempted, how many skills mastered on the first try and the second try, skills not mastered, and total time in the system. If you would like to drill down and see more specific information, you can click on the detailed version. As we preview this version, you can see for my student, you can see exactly which activities they were assigned, when they completed them, how much time they spent, and if they mastered that particular skill. This is a nice report to pull if you're conferencing with students on their progress. Let's also take a look at where we can find our students' diagnostic information after they have completed the assessment. I'm going to click into a subject and click Class Diagnostics Results. As I scroll down, here you can see after you take a second diagnostic, it will begin comparing class information. I'm going to click into my individual student's name on my class list in the detailed class breakdown. This will allow me to see scores for each assessment and growth in each subject from Diagnostic 1 to Diagnostic 2. I can also click into each individual subject, find my national percentile rank, see exactly how the student worked through the assessment, how much time they spent on it, and here I can see the domain details. If I expand all of these, I can see how many points they received from each domain and the different skills that were assessed. So here I see my student only received 5 out of 11 points in geometry. I can take a look at the specific skills they may need to work on or need additional support with. If you need additional resources as you're working with your students, we can find more in our Assess and Teach section. You as a staff member can search by skill or standard. We'll select a reading skill for now. Let's see everything that's available in our 6th grade literature. Here you're able to see lessons. And again, they have those different content styles. more resources, so lesson ideas. We may have worksheets and videos as well. If you would like to assign students a lesson or a resource, you'll come over here and select Assign. After your students get started, if you still need additional help, you can reference the Help Center in our top right corner. Our Help Center has tons of great resources in Exact Math, Learn, and Support. You're also able to search and find additional resources. As always, if there's something that you need assistance with in your account, you can always contact me as your customer success manager, or you can contact our Edmentum support team at this number or email address. Thank you for participating in our session today.